Alright, quite randomly there, but here we go. Hmm. I'm trying to think. We presented evidence to the science guys, so maybe we can pit him against her.
Yeah.
Because he said that the president of that. Let's try that then.
Objection!
Yes. There we go. So you were right to go, yeah, we do have evidence. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? You could put down your corn for a moment, juror number 5. Oh, you mean me? You've pointed out that if it's wrong to make an accusation, without evidence. The accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you. Ooh, is that right? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument? I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Of course you don't. If I could interject here, please do, sir. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me as a man of science not to pursue the matter further.
So that's what we have to do to get him to change it?
Yep. Well, me too, then. Sorry? If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuff in between the ears.
I'm confused if she's just like a farmer's daughter or if she's like an actual kid.
I don't know.
Because why would a kid be on the jury?
Success, if you can call it that. Thank you, counsel. That will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty, against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time, and the trial must continue. We did it. Oh, well done, Mr. Neverhood. Another wonderful victory. Okay, and why do I think Lord Von Zieg's gonna pour himself some stuff?
And shake his head.
Yeah, in his hollow chalice. The waxwork of the despicable professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say, it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation. It's the waxwork of the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're going to prove, lad, I really don't. The truth, sir, by using evidence and testimony. If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? 2 spells?
Yes.
Madam 2 spells. I really thought that Lord Von Zieks would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madam 2 spells to appear as a witness with immediate effect. I was not expecting her to show up here.
Well, we haven't had much interactions with her.
Listen here, my learned friend. You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. Madam 2 spells, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. What Pandora's box? What's going on?
I don't know.
Does he know something we don't?
I don't know.
Well, let's continue.
Okay.
Since you have a second wind.
Okay.
And we have a little more time before we both have to go to bed for work. Ah, the knight errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs, as a spectator at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. I have to ask, what on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? He doesn't look like any professor I've ever met. Who even is he? Ah, of course. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred in me. But who knew the monster would come knocking at your door? My heartfelt sympathies. Ah, ha, ha, ha. As it turns out, Lord Von Zieks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realize, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now, Waxbrook, the killer who took his esteemed brother's life, makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. Make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes, in what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Scythe, and Lord Von Zieks. It seems that everybody in this trial has a link to the case somehow. Yes. In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other. Excuse me. Is that Gregson? No. Yo, are you supposed to be seeing me? Dr. Scythe? Ah, Dr. Courtney Scythe, nee Stevens. Good day to you. Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Scythe, and I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened. That certainly won't be possible. Lord Von Zieks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. Please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice. I've always fought crime in the way that I see fit. I have no regrets, none at all.
Is she the Reaper?
And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you. She mentioned it too, this Pandora's box. Whatever does it all mean? There's really no cause for concern. I assure you, when the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it to or not. Huh? Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much. Ah yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of the trial this afternoon, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Alright, I understand. Good. I shall make myself scarce, then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth. What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. Well, he did say before this stage started that something's going to happen that he's not ready for.
Well, that was Kazuma.
I mean, Kazuma, yeah, it could be. Time for the final chapter. I'm determined to find the truth, no matter what. We've only got a little time to find the truth, but we'll see where we can go. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue? The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready. As the court is aware, the case under our scrutiny began with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation, as seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord. So then, let us begin our exploration of the defense's assertion that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this matter. Lord Von Zieks, my lord, are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tuspels? Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned. Very well, bring in the witness. At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tuspels to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Jumper is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice in Dr. Scythe. What connects the pair of them is the waxwork. Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present it's all we have to go on.
Maybe she has the key because she would have made the face. Is it Sholmes?
State your name and occupation for the court, please. Oh my god, it is! My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspels. I am a waxwork artisan, and the proprietress of the Madame Tuspels Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon. Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in this world. Oh my, what expression is she carving onto that face? A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this? That is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped. A waxwork model kidnapped? Yes, my lord, there was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim? At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Odie Asman. But of course, I know him well. He is a part of my odious personages exhibit. I detest to say what is evidence, but Mr. Asman does not resemble the professor at all. Yes, but perhaps her faces are very similar. Are you suggesting that we should see now the masked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock. This is absurd. Pardon? I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath that mask. But clearly it won't be that of the actual killer. Indeed, the man's identity was never made public after all. The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information. Quel dommage. It would seem you are unaware of the Tuspels principles. What principles? The family Tuspels has always prided itself on sculpting its models a la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity, and voila, our principles. There is a well-known legend about the Tuspels waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tuspels family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed. That is true. It was a century ago now. I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually at the guillotine site. You are correct. The model is on display still today in the House of Horrors. We Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subjects. Dear me, a somewhat disturbing tenacity of purpose. It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation, of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations. Do you mean to say that beneath that mask... the true visage of the killer is there. This is ludicrous. It's out of the question. The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer, emerging from his own grave, it is a sight to behold. You should come. I think, madame, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. You will explain every detail of this macabre model and your personal involvement in its creation. With pleasure.
But would she have created it or a family member? Because 10 years ago, wouldn't she have been like 17?
I don't know. Let me check what her age is again. 16. Special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered. The gravedigger? The man sanctioned this? Oui, I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew, only the gravedigger. What harm did it do, huh? So you truly saw it. The face of that monster. Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret, but two spells would not be two spells if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures. I don't believe this. I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, madame. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave. The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time. The special exhibit was based upon the picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened as reported by the eyewitness who saw it. Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words. The public enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum. And it's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it? That is correct. The professor you see before you here. Most puzzling. Counsel for the defense proceed with the cross-examination. This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Scythe, and there has to be some reason for that, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. I'll prove that Dr. Scythe and Drebber were in on this crime together.
Hold it!
And that rumor would be a 10-year-old tale now, but one that no Londoner would ever forget. Alright, I know just what you're talking about, I think. Of course, it couldn't be anything else. Yes, that story will never disappear. The tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead, that is the central attraction of my House of Horrors. The rumor was whispered all over the city, and it was like this. It was in Lowgate Cemetery behind the prison in the dead of night after the execution of the killer. The interred professor slid back the stone grave covering his tomb and emerged from his grave. A young man who witnessed this felt a scream welling up inside him, but an instant later he heard an ear-splitting gunshot from over his shoulder. The bullet struck the emerging corpse once more. The scream finally found its way from the mouth of the young witness, who turned and ran for his life. The corpse climbed out of his own grave, and then somebody shot him. Who was it? Nobody knows, even today. But remember, it was just a rumor, perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The good people of London, they love stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital. Or was it just a story? I mean, this is exactly the scene that could be seen today at your museum, isn't it? Oui. The special exhibit was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the contents of that article were reproduced in every newspaper imaginable. Madame, may I say something? Please go ahead, mademoiselle. When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's entirely made up. I believe that often rumors contain elements of the truth. I see that people from the East can be just as astute as the people of Europe. Can we be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful? It is not possible for the dead to come back to life. Sorry. 10 years ago I was there in Lowgate Cemetery. After the criminal known as the professor was killed by hanging, I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before it was interred. So I can assure you, the man was dead. I see. It would certainly appear that the condemned man suffered the intended fate. There's a creepy undertone to this case. Like, it really is. Is that true of every waxwork in your museum, then? It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know. What sort of letters? When my time comes, please make a waxwork of me. Come ça? What? No. My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals a symbol of status, even. Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax. And it is thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the star of the special exhibit, of course, the Professor, whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse. There are no exceptions to the principles of two spells. Enlisted the aid of the gravedigger.
Hold it!
Surely that's illegal, isn't it? It would seem the proprietress of this repository of novelties was blinded by monetary greed. It had nothing to do with money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That's why I had to sculpt him to record this history. It is the raison d'être of the Two Spells Museum. But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary knows the killer's true identity. I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the professor. You realize what you're saying. The professor's identity is a national secret. I understand. And now that the truth about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close. Of course it will, as will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madame. That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think, don't you? So 10 years ago, on the night of the professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse. Oui, exactamente. Hid myself into the grave to sing. I was there for a very long time. You were there longer than you expected to be. I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the cadaver fell open, and I had some problems with the chin. Dare I ask? The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing, and consequently, his chin would not align itself correctly. Oh dear, what a horrible thought. Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone, and as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time. What do you mean? When I take the impression of the visage of the cadaver, I always wait until 3 hours after death. Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant? It's because of rigor mortis. A wriggly mortis? It's the name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to the relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered. Well, that was an education, if a slightly scary one. As the Mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and it starts in the jaw. I see. So that's why you wait. Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it is very difficult to do my work. Oh, it's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. And I wonder about that information the court just heard from Madame Two Spells. Significant. The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us, would you mind including it in your formal testimony? I believe it could be significant, you see. Of course, I do not mind at all. I can't help feeling that after this latest topic, The atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave. This is no time for jokes, Miss Usato. Madame, kindly amend your testimony as discussed. Bien sûr. It was before the onset. Rigor mortis being the phenomenon you describe, whereby the corpse becomes stiff after death. I think you said that it starts at the jaw about 3 hours post-death. Is that right? Oui, c'est ça. Of course, the exact duration depends a little on the season. I didn't realize a waxwork artisan would be so well versed in the subject. Non, this is only elementary knowledge in the field of legal medicine. Well, I had no idea about it, but maybe I won't admit to my ignorance about forensic science. I could ask my father to give you a very simple primer if you like. I think corpses should be your domain. I'm not good with them. Oh dear, I'll do my very best.
Hold it!
You see that dawn was approaching. What was the time of day then, approximately? Well, I could not say. But when I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible. The execution took place on June 17th, which had the earliest sunrise of that year. Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning. Sorry again. That really is early. The fact is I had very little time, so I finished my work in a half hour. It was necessary to complete the impression and bury the body before daybreak, of course. If someone had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry. Is it me, or does Mr. Sholmes seem to be taking shape more quickly now, too? You certainly appear to go to extraordinary lengths for your work, Madame. I wonder, is what she said particularly significant? Madame, those details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture in the early sunrise, could you include them in your testimony? I believe they may be significant. Of course, if you would like me to. You're quite right, Mr. Naruhodo. It is intriguing. A sunrise at 4 in the morning would be absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it? That's not quite what I meant by significant. Kindly amend your formal testimony then, Madame. With pleasure, my lord. Two significant things, and it is 9:29, so it's not supposed to go to bed for work. But I'm very curious which part is wrong and what is the underlying thing that's going to be really big with this case, because I feel like there's a lot unanswered, there's a lot of mystery.
Yeah, it's just like there's more and more questions like every time.
Yeah. And it's like, it's very clear that Enoch Drebber is something or another. Like, he's bad. And she seems... I don't know if she's as bad, but something's very suspicious. But as far as how this all happened, we still got some questions.
We have lots of questions.
And next time, we shall answer them. Thank you for watching.